Uh, Good evening, everyone. So today we'll be discussing about the cerebellum, especially as an exam point of view. Okay. So today we'll discuss about the cerebellum on the basis of these 5 points. Okay. So the question might be in examination be somewhat like this. They might ask about the cerebellum under the following heading. Either they might ask about the gross anatomy, classification or divisions of the cerebellum. They might also ask about the microanatomy or the cerebral architecture. They might also ask about the connection of the cerebellum, which is one of the very important parts, and the clinical anatomy of the cerebellum. So let's start with the cerebellum. As you know that the main function of the cerebellum is the equilibrium. Okay, so it is actually responsible for the adjustment or any coordinated movements that the person they are doing in or any action that person is performing. So those actions are coordinated or adjusted with the help of the cerebellum, or they are actually responsible for the maintaining the equilibrium. They are responsible for the maintaining the equilibrium or any skillful movement. During any skillful movement, they are actually responsible for adjusting those skillful movement. Okay, so it is the main function of the cerebellum. So besides that, the cerebellum it also receives all the sensory information that are actually coming from the different parts of the body, and they are also from here. They also receives the information that are coming from the higher centers. Okay, they are coming from the higher centers of the cerebellum as well as from the spinal cord. Okay, so maintaining the equilibrium, adjustment, the sensory information they are relayed here, and the information that are coming from the higher centers. So these are the main function of the cerebellum. So whenever you see the cerebellum, so the cerebellum, we also call it as a little brain. As well as if you see the cerebellum, they actually develops from the neural tube. So it is a part of the neural tube. And the neural tube, it gets divided into three parts. That is the forebrain, midbrain, and hindbrain. Okay, the forebrain is also called as uh, prosencephalon, and midbrain is also called as mesencephalon, and the hindbrain is also called as rhombencephalon. So if you see the rhombencephalon part, the rhombencephalon it is again divided into metencephalon and myelencephalon. Okay, so if you see the rhombencephalon, and if you see here the cerebellum it is the part of the metencephalon. So it is a part of the hindbrain, and and in the also the hindbrain there are the two parts that is called as metencephalon and myelencephalon, and it is the part of the metencephalon. So you have to remember like that. Okay, so if you see here, if you see uh, if you see here in this region as well, the cerebellum it is present just behind the medulla oblongata and pons. It is just present behind the medulla oblongata and pons, and just below the occipital lobe of the cerebrum. Now, so whenever you see the cerebrum basically they are situated in the posterior cranial fossa here in this region, just beneath the occipital lobe, and you can also see the cerebrum and cerebellum. They are separated by the help of tentorium cerebelli. Okay, so one of the modification of the meninges. So here in between the cerebrum and cerebellum, so there is a modification of the neura mater. So that one is a tentorium cerebelli, and it is present just behind the pons and medulla oblongata. So these are the gross features, or you can see the situations of the cerebellum. Okay, so So if you see here, and the cerebellum, it is also separated from the midbrain with the floor of the fourth ventricle. So here in this region, you will find the floor of the fourth ventricle. So it is present just behind the floor of the fourth ventricle. And if you see the shape of the cerebellum, it looks somewhat a oval shaped structure. Okay, oval shaped structure or oval shaped structure having the weight of 150 grams. Okay, so that's the weight of 150 grams. Now, so if someone asks you about the how the cerebrum are or cerebellum are made up of. So if you see the cerebellum, it also contains the white matter and gray matter. It also contains the white matter and gray matter. So here in the middle, if you see, it contains the white matter. Okay, so inner layer they are made up of white matter, and the outer layer, if you see this layer, yes, the outer layer, if you see, they are made up of the gray matter. Okay, so gray matter they are present in the outside. They are present in the outside here in this layer, and in the inside you will find the white matter. So this is all about the cortex. So if you see, this whole part is the cortex of the cerebellum, and here in the cortex of the cerebellum, it contains the white matter and gray matter. And gray matter they are present outside, and white matter they are present in the inside. And if you see the external features of the cerebellum, the external features of the cerebellum basically contains the two parts. Yes, so these are the two cerebral hemispheres. These are the two cerebral hemispheres, right side and left side cerebral hemisphere. Okay, and here in the middle, they are connected here with the help of the hormis. So it is a worm-like structure, worm. Okay, so worm-like structure connecting the two cerebral hemisphere, right and left. Okay, and if you see the if you see the structure, okay, or the surfaces of the cerebellum. So it basically contains the two surfaces. So if you see here in this outside part, okay, or from the above, so this part is called as superior surface, and below, if you see just from below, and this part is called as inferior surface. And in between this superior surface and inferior surface, there is a one feature, and that feature is called as horizontal feature. And the two cerebral hemisphere, they are connected again with each other with the help of the vermis. So you can even see the vermis from the inferior surface. Yes, so this part. And you see this part is called as vermis. Okay. And if you see in the lower part, a bit lower part, so you can even identify the vallicula. Okay, vallicula. And in the inferior surface, again, you can see, the focus-like structure here between the two cerebral hemisphere in the inferior surface, and this sulcus is called as paramedian sulcus. This sulcus is called as paramedian sulcus. Okay, that is only seen from the inferior surface, and from the inferior surface you can also identify the vermis, and that part is called as vallicula. And from the superior surface, this worm-like structure that is connecting the right and left cerebral hemisphere, and this part is called as vermis. This one is a worm-like structure. So if you see here in this part as well, so there are the numerous features that are present in the cerebellum. So the first feature you might see here from the in the anterior surface is a primary feature or fissura prima. Okay, so this feature is called as primary feature. And between this superior surface and inferior surface, there is one feature, and this feature is called as horizontal feature. So horizontal feature actually divides the superior surface from the inferior surface. Okay. So so after that, there is one another feature called as posterolateral feature. So this posterolateral feature is nothing. So it is present somewhere in the also in the another figure. So somewhere here in this region. So somewhere here in this region, okay, so there is another feature, and that feature is called as posterolateral feature. So from this figure, I think that is it's not clear so much, but also in the another picture, okay. So after that, if you see in the superior surface of the cerebral hemisphere, okay, the cerebral cortex is folded to form a narrow leaf-like band, and they are called as folia. So if you see from the in the societal sector, can you see such type of structures? These all the structures they might these are present in the cerebral hemisphere. So if you see here, these structures, these all the structures they are called as folia. They are called as folia. Okay. So it is nothing. The folia is a narrow leaf-like structure. This leaf-like structure is called as folia. And this folia also contains the, as you know that the cerebral hemisphere, they contains the inner white matter here in the middle and outer gray matter. So this folia also contains the inner white matter here in the middle and gray matter is present in the outside. And white matter entering into the central axis of the east cerebral folium, resembling the branching tree-like pattern, and this pattern is called as arbor vitae cerebelli. Okay, so this branch pattern of the cerebellum, it looks somewhat like a tree-like pattern. Okay, so this branching pattern they are considered to be as a arbor vitae cerebelli. Okay, so this individual structure they are the folia. They are the folia. So this folia they are also made up of the gray matter and inner white matter. Okay, and if you see the horizontal feature, so horizontal feature they are actually responsible for the they are responsible for what? They are responsible for the separating the superior surface from the inferior surface. So if you see here in this region, this one is a horizontal feature. This one is a horizontal feature. Now, if you also see from this photograph also, okay, so it is somewhat it looks continuous in the superior surface, but if you see in the inferior surface between the two cerebral hemispheres, there is a pyramidal sulcus. Okay, there is a space and there is a sulcus, or there is a depth structure, a bit deeper structure, and the deeper structure is called as pyramidal sulcus. Okay, so this horizontal feature actually responsible for dividing the superior surface from the inferior surface. Now, the primary feature, it also separates the main function of this primary feature is to separate the okay two lobes. So since the primary feature that is present in the superior lobe, okay, or superior surface, sorry, it's not superior lobe, it's the superior surface. So in the in the if you see here in this region, if you see here in this region, okay, so the primary feature is actually it is present in the superior surface, and in the superior surface also the cerebellum, it is divided into two parts by the feature. And this feature divides the cerebellum or the superior surface into two parts. The anterior part is called as anterior lobe and the posterior part is called as posterior lobe. Okay. So it separates the anterior lobe from the posterior lobe. So if you see the posterior lateral feature, so that is actually responsible for dividing the okay the another lobe that is called as flocculonodular lobe from the middle lobe. Flocculonodular lobe from the middle lobe. Okay, so these two between the flocculonodular lobe and the middle lobe. So we are viewing this from the inferior surface. So they separate the separate this posterolateral feature separates the flocculonodular lobe from the middle lobe. Now, each hemisphere, it is divided into how many lobes? They are divided into three lobes. So, the first one, this one is the anterior lobe by the which feature? Primary feature. Yes, yes. And if you see here in this region, so there is another lobe. That lobe is called as floccular posterolateral feature. So this posterolateral feature divides the flocculonodular lobe from the middle lobe. So there are the three lobes: anterior, middle, and flocculonodular lobe. Now let's discuss about the division of the cerebral hemisphere. Okay, so there are the basically three divisions of the cerebral hemisphere, cerebellar hemisphere. So the first the first one is the anatomical division. So in the anatomical division, what they have done is that, so first thing that is present here in the anatomical division is the lingula. And the last thing that is present in the anatomical division, it is this one is a nodule. Okay, so this one is the first thing and this one is the last thing. And from this nodule, there is a peduncle or the flocculus, it arises from that side. So this was considered to be as a flocculonodular lobe. Okay, and if you see from the lingula, so there is a central lobule from where the ala arises, fulmen from where quadrate lobe arises, base leaf from where simple lobule arises, folium from where superior semilunar lobule arises, tuber from where inferior semilunar lobule arises, pyramid from where biventral lobule arises, and from the uvula the tonsil arises. So this one is somewhat an anatomical division, and you have to remember this division. Okay, and to understand this structure, so what we have done is that we have drawn a one line. That line is called as this blue line structure. So this blue line structure, consider this line to be as a horizontal feature, okay? And we know that the horizontal feature this is responsible for dividing the cerebellum into two parts, okay? That is the superior surface and inferior surface. Yes, so it is responsible for dividing the cerebellum into two parts, that is the superior surface and inferior surface. Now, in the superior surface, so you can see, you can identify, you can see the lingula, central lobule, culmen, decilic, and folium. And this is a very important thing that you have to remember because each and every time the students get, uh, they don't, they don't remember these things. Okay, so we have a trick to understand how to remember these things. So I will teach later, or we'll discuss later. And in the inferior surface, there is a tuber, pyramid, uvula, and nodule. So these are the four structures that are present in the inferior surface, and it's five structures that are present in the superior surface. Okay. Now, so the primary feature or the feature prima, so they are actually present in between the culmen and decilic, between the culmen and decilic. So please remember this is also the important thing. And again, if you see the posterolateral feature, yes. So that is present in the flocculonodular lobe and uvula. Or you can see in between these two, uvula and nodule, so there is another feature. That feature is called as posterolateral feature. Now, so just in front of this primary feature, this will be the anterior lobe. So especially in the anterior lobe, there will be the lingula, there will be the central lobule, and there will be the culmen. And in the middle lobe, if you see here, you can see there will be the presence of decilic, there will be the presence of folium, there will be the presence of tuber, there will be the presence of pyramid, and there will be also the presence of the uvula. And just behind it, so here you will find the, so this part is called as foculonodular lobe. So this lobe is considered to be as a foculonodular lobe. So it contains only the nodule. So this is the anatomical structure or anatomical classification of the cerebellum. Okay, and sir, what does this structure mean? So this whole structure is the worm-like structure, and this worm-like structure is called as cornice. Okay, so these are all the lingula, central lobule, culmen, decilic, folium, tuber, pyramid, uvula, and nodule. These are the part of the cornice. Okay, so these are the part of the cornice. So just above the inferior horizontal feature, okay, just above the horizontal feature, these are considered to be the superior vermis, and just below they are considered to be the inferior vermis. Now, so while discussing the, again, while discussing the cerebral hemisphere or the vermis part, so if you see here, so this part, can you see? So this part is the superior surface and this part is the inferior surface. And in between the superior surface and inferior surface, there is a one feature, and this feature is considered to be as a horizontal feature. So let's draw this figure once again to better understand. Okay. So let's draw horizontal feature, which is actually responsible for dividing the cerebral hemisphere into superior surface and inferior surface. So especially, let's draw the four structure: one, two, three, four structure above, and four structure below. So we know that if you see here, there are only the nine structures. One, two, three, four, five, six, seven, eight, nine structures of the vermis. Okay. So the first, so just write it CCDF, okay, and after that just write it NUPT. So after that, if you see here, in the anterior most part, you know that there is a lingula. So just write a lingula. So what does this C mean? This one is a central lobule. So what does this C mean? This one is a culmen. Okay. So what does this D mean? This one is a sleep. And what does this F means? Folium. Similarly, tuber, P means pyramid, U means uvula, and N means nodule. So this is how the arbor vitae is formed. The tree-like structure is formed. Okay. So just draw the four structures somewhat like this, and in below also draw four structures somewhat like this, and just write it CCDF NUPT, and just in the most anterior part you will find the lingula and write it central lobule fulmen destifolium, pure, pyramid, uvula, and nodule. So this is how you can draw the cerebellar hemisphere. Okay. And after that, so you know that between the culmen and district there is a primary feature. Yes, and between the nodule and uvula, yes. So here you will find the posterolateral feature, and between the folium and tuber, you will find the horizontal feature. Again, now so what does this neuroscientist? So there are neuroscientists has done that. So they have also classified anatomically the this structure, this subdivision of this hermes or the cerebellum into the by the Roman number. Okay. So they have given the lingula as a 1, yes, and this central lobule as a 2, 3 Roman number, 4, 5, they leave as a 6, folium and tuber as a 7, 8, and 8 as a pyramid, uvula as a 9, and nodule as a 10. Okay, so this might also, they might ask this part as well. Okay, so they are classified by the Roman number as well. Okay, so if someone asks you about the central lobule, so the central lobule, if the Roman number 2 and 3 are present, so that means that is representing the central lobule. If someone asks you about the seven, so they are discussing about the folium and tuber. Okay, if someone discussing about, or if someone says the Roman number 10 in the cerebellum, so they, I think, or not, I think they are discussing about the nodule. Okay. Now, so morphological division. Okay, so if you see here, so just right now we have discussed about the Roman number. Now they have given a Roman number here into the morphological division. Okay, so on the basis of the morphological division of the cerebellum, they are divided into three parts. The first one is a archicerebellum, old type of cerebellum. Okay, so old cerebellum is called as archicerebellum. And if you see this structure, pleocerebellum, okay, pleocerebellum. And if you see the white structure here, okay, so this one is a neocerebellum. This one is a neocerebellum, is new cerebellum. Between the neocerebellum and archicerebellum, okay, this structure, okay, this pleocerebellum is present in between these two structures. Okay, so we'll discuss what this archicerebellum means, pleocerebellum means, and neocerebellum means. Now, if you see this archicerebellum, so this one is first to appear in the aquatic vertebra. Okay, so such as fish, these structures are present. Okay, that is a first to appear in the aquatic vertebra, and it basically includes the flocculonodular lobe and lingula. Flocculonodular lobe and lingula. Okay, so I think I've done mistake somewhere here in this region. The lingula should be 1 and flocculonodular lobe should be 10. Okay, so please, I'll just correct it. Okay, so this is the 10 and lingula is 1. So I'll like to correct this right now here. Okay, okay, yes, yes, okay. So we have corrected this part. Okay, now after that, if you see here, the archicerebellum, this is also considered or also called as vestibular cerebellum. Why this? Why we call this archicerebellum as a vestibular cerebellum? Because it receives or the whatever the input that are coming here, they are actually coming from the vestibular nerve. Okay, they are coming from the vestibular nerve through the two nuclei. They are the medial and inferior vestibular nuclei. Okay, so because of that, we also call this RP cerebellum as a vestibular cerebellum. Okay, and the main function of this RP cerebellum or the vestibular cerebellum is to maintain, that is, we know that the cerebellum, they are actually responsible for the equilibrium. So it is responsible for maintaining the balance as well as responsible for the controlling your eye movement. Okay. So balance and controlling your eye movement. Okay. So these are the two things. Okay. Especially in the balance, also the trunk part. Okay. The trunk part. Okay, balancing the strong part and controlling the movement of eye. These are the two things that are controlled by the archi cerebellum. And in cerebellum, so we know that the cerebellum is in between the old type of cerebellum and the between the new type of cerebellum. So it is a somewhat in the middle type. Yes. So especially these are seen in the terrestrial vertebra. So those vertebra that are terrestrial type, so they are present here in this region. So it includes the 2, 3, 4, and 5. 2, 3, 4, and 5. So that is the central lobe as well as the culmen. So they both belong to the cerebellum as well as pyramid, and you can see the uvula as well. Okay, pyramid and uvula. So they also belong to the cerebellum. And so what does this cerebellum do? So especially those type of information. Okay, so they are the proprioceptive and exteroceptive informations, or those informations are are received by the cerebellum, and they are these information that are coming from the spinal part as well as from the cuno part. Okay, so spinocerebellar and cunocerebral tract. From these two tracts, then here the cerebellum, it receives the information, and the main function of the cerebellum is again the regulation of the muscle tone and the maintenance of the posture of the limb. So if you see the artery cerebellum, they are actually responsible for the maintaining of the trunk muscles, yes, as well as for the eye movement. But here, this cerebellum, they are actually responsible for the regulation of the muscle tone and maintaining the posture of the limb. Now, the important one, so this structure, yes. So this structure, we call it as a neocerebellum. Yes, so neocerebellum basically contains this one is a 6, yes, basically, and 7. So that is the folium and tuber vermis. So these three things, okay, are 7, a Roman number that includes the 6 and 7. So 6 includes the folium vermis, and uh, sorry, 6 includes the basally, yes, and basally part, yes, and this 7 includes the folium vermis and tuber vermis. In between these two, there is a horizontal fissure again. Yes, so these three structures, that is a basic folium and tuber vermis, they are the neocerebellum. Okay, so they are present in the mammals especially. And what does this neocerebellum do? So they are also considered to be as a cerebropontine cerebellum. Cerebropontine cerebellum means somewhere the fibers that are coming from the cerebral hemisphere as well as from the pons. Okay, so pons to the cerebellum. Okay, so so because of that, they are considered to be as a cerebropontine cerebellum. So it receives the information from the pontine nuclei, yes, that is present in the pons, inferior olivar nucleus, and from the visual and auditory senses, they receive the input from these things. Okay, pontine, inferior olivar nucleus, as well as they also receive the information that are coming from the visual and the auditory senses. Okay, and this one is the new type of cerebellum, that is the latest cerebellum. Okay, so these are actually responsible for performing the any type of skill movement. Okay, that is the coordinated movement, not only the skill movement, those movements where the coordinations are necessary, such as musician playing a guitar. So you need a coordinated movement, so a type of smooth fine type of performance or skill act. Okay, so those type of in those type of movement, this new cerebellum are working. Okay, so we have to remember this as well. So if you see in a summary slide, so you can use this summary slide as well. Okay, so what are the anatomical components that are involved here? Yes, what are the chief connections such as vestibular, spinal cord, bones? Yes, what are the functions and the functional classifications? They are also mentioned here in this chart. Okay, so you can use this chart for your writing as well. Okay, so let's discuss about the functional division of the cerebellum. So especially in the functional division of the cerebellum, there are three types. One is present in the median zone, okay. One is present in the lateral zone, and another is present in the intermediate zone, okay. So so the median zone, they are also considered to be as the vermal part, intermediate zone, paravermal part, and the lateral zone, they are the cerebral hemisphere, okay. That one is a part of the cerebral hemisphere, okay. So they are considered to be the three part, okay, according to the functional division. Now, if you see the internal structure of the cerebellum, okay, internal structure of the cerebellum, you know that the cerebellum, the cerebellum, in the internal side or in the inner layer, they are generally made up of the white matter, and in the outer side, they are generally made up of the gray matter. Okay, and as well as they contain the four pair of deep cerebral nuclei that are present in the medullary core or especially in the white matter. So if you see here in this region, if you see here in the white matter part, okay, so you can see the fastigial nucleus, globose nucleus, okay, dentate nucleus, as well as if you see, you can see this one dentate nucleus and the imboliform nucleus. So these are the four nucleus that are present in the cerebellum. Okay, so if someone asks you about the nucleus about the cerebellum, we have to always write fascicle, imboliform, dentate. Okay, you just remember somewhat like this: fascicle, imboliform, dentate. Okay, fascicle means fastigial, fascicle means globus, E means imboliform, and D means dentate. Fascicle, imboliform, dentate. Okay, so somewhat like this. Okay, and if you see this dentate nucleus, okay, this dentate nucleus, they are well developed and they are largest in the primates and men. Okay, in human beings, it is the largest nucleus that is present. Okay, the dentate nucleus. So, and if you see this fastigial nucleus, globus, and imboliform nucleus, so they are combined, they can be considered to be as or called as nucleus interpositus. Okay, in some of the books, you might find that these three nucleus combinedly called as nucleus interpositus. Now, again, you can see the connections and the function of the nuclei of the cerebellum. So this one is a summary slide, okay? What does this fastigial nucleus do? What does this imboliform and globus nucleus do? What does this dentate nucleus do? What are the information from where the information are coming here and from where the information are going to, okay? So what is the main function? So they are present here, okay? So similarly, if you see the fastigial nucleus, okay, they control the muscle action in response to the labyrinthine stimuli. Okay, so imboliform and globus, they are actually responsible for the crude movements of the limb. Dentate nucleus, they are actually highly skilled movement. Those movements which are voluntarily and where you need a precision type of movement. Okay, such type of movement, the dentate nucleus are required. So this is somewhat like a summary slide. We will discuss a bit more later when we discuss about the connections of the cerebral hemisphere. Now, functional division. So if you see the functional division, so in the functional division, you know that here this one is a median zone. This one is a median zone, and it basically projects into the new fastigial nucleus. Okay, so this one is a nucleus fastigial. So fastigial nucleus belongs to the median zone, and the in from this median zone, okay, this median zone, they are actually, we know that the cerebellum are responsible for the equilibrium and maintenance, yes, or adjustment. So any type of movement that are coming from the trunk or any from the extensor muscles, okay, from the extensor muscles of the upper limb or lower limb. So they are actually controlled from the median zone. They are controlled from the median zone, okay. And you can see, so the information that are coming from here, they are actually related to this vestibulospinal and reticulospinal tract. So just remember this tract, okay, the name of the tract. Don't go deeper here in this region. Just remember that vestibulospinal and corticospinal tract. Now, in the intermediate part, if you see there are the other nucleus, yes. So these are the nucleus interpositus. Okay, so we have discussed the The three other nucleus are considered to be as a nucleus interpositus. Yes, before. So they all belong to the in the intermediate zone. Okay, and they are actually responsible for the same side movement. Okay, they are controlling or modifying the same side movement and also controlling the oscillator means same side and controlling the flexor muscle tone. Okay, the median zone they are actually responsible for the extensor muscle tone, and intermediate zone they are actually responsible for the flexor muscle tone, and they are controlling these all the things with the help of rubrospinal tract. Okay, the rubrospinal tract. So if necessary, we'll discuss this tract in the individual section. Okay. So mid-range zone and this and intermediate zone. So they are actually responsible for controlling the axial and the limb muscles. Okay, so especially postural control. And in the lateral zone, you know that in the lateral zone here you can see the dentate nucleus. Okay, so you can consider this as a nucleus dentatus or dentate nucleus. Okay, these are actually responsible for the coordinated movement that are present in the distal limb or or those type of movement where you need a skill skill. So those type of skill movement or coordinated movement, they are controlled by from this lateralism, from this whole area especially. Okay, from whole area. And how they are controlled? They are controlled through the dento-rubro-thalamocortical pathway. Okay, so dentate, rubro, thalamus, cortical cortex or the cortical region of the cerebral hemisphere. They are involved here for such type of movement. Okay, so lot of the parts are involved for such type of skillful movement, as well as descending corticospinal and rubrospinal tract. They are also involved in controlling such type of movement. Okay, so uh, just remember the name only. So if necessary, we'll discuss this structure detailing. Okay, so thank you so much. So today we'll be only discussing about these things. So we have discussed about the classifications and general anatomy of the cerebral hemisphere.